Hi everybody. Today we'll be starting with the videos for unit 5. This will be mainly a review for you. So the first topic that we saw in unit 5 was modal verbs. And these modal verbs were divided into like categories or functions. So the first function is obligation. So when there's an obligation, it means that it's absolutely necessary that you do this action, right? And we can express that with have or has to or must. Like you have to do your homework, it's part of your obligations. Or you must be in time for class, which is also in the same category. We can also use it for giving directions, like the picture here, you have to turn left. The difference in meaning in Spanish, at the very least, would be something like you have to do your homework is tienes que hacer tu tarea, and you must be on time for class is debes llegar a tiempo a clase o debes estar a tiempo para la clase. So there's in meaning, or rather in translation, there's just a very small difference between tienes que y debes, because you can actually change them. Like you can say you must do your homework, or you can say you have to be on time for class. So there's really no difference in English. There's just a very small difference in the translation to Spanish. But if you, like if in an exam, for example, it says tienes que, and instead of have to, you write must, I'll take it as correct because they both have the same meaning. Next one would be the opposite, no obligation. And in this one, you have to be really, really careful because only don't and doesn't have to correspond to this category or function. Okay, so you don't have to be good at a hobby to enjoy it. No tienes que ser bueno en un pasatiempo para disfrutarlo. Okay, so it's unnecessary or it's something that you don't need to follow. Okay, like the picture here. You don't have to be happy. No tienes que estar feliz o no tienes que ser feliz. It's not like you have the obligation to do it or that it's necessary that you are happy. All right, so it's something that is not necessary. Then we have prohibition, and this is where we use mustn't. So be really, really careful with the meaning. No obligation is don't have to. Prohibition is mustn't. So you can't do these things because they are not allowed. Okay. For example, Peter mustn't sleep during class, or you mustn't smoke. There's a prohibition. Sometimes it could be because of a rule, like sleeping in class is not permitted, or smoking, right? Could be something a little bit more serious, like a public place rule or a law even, right? Something that you mustn't do because it's prohibited. Oh, sorry. And this one would be in Spanish. This one would be no tienes que, like we mentioned, and this one would be no debes. No debes dormir en clase, no debes fumar aquí. So in Spanish, they also express some degree of prohibition. Then we have permission, okay? When you are allowed, or when you, like it says here, you are permitted to do something. Like can. You can ask questions at the end of the class, so you have permission to do this. Or you can use a combination between am, is, are allowed to. People are allowed to, these two is very important. People are allowed to smoke outside the building. Okay, smoking is allowed here. In Spanish, this would be the same as puedes. Puedes hacer preguntas al final de la clase. O las personas tienen permitido fumar fuera del edificio, okay? Tienen permitido. Be really careful with that. Tienen permitido. It's not exactly the same as are allowed to. Like it's not an exact translation. So you need to be careful with that. We have no permission, which is basically just a negative version of the verbs. Can't and I'm not, isn't, or aren't allowed to. So dear best friend, you can make friends. So you have permission to make friends, but you are not allowed to love them as you love me. So you don't have the permission to do that. Okay, you can have new friends. Okay, you can have new friends, but you can't. You are not allowed to love them as much as you love me. I just think that's adorable. Oh, sorry. And this one would be basically no poder, right? Can't, no poder. And the negative version of allowed to is no tienes permitido. Like here, puedes hacer nuevos amigos, pero no tienes permitido amarlos como me amas a mí. Okay? And then the last modal verb is how to make recommendations. So this is with should or with the negative version, shouldn't. So it's to give recommendations, suggestions, what we think the person, what we think would be better for the person, right? You should follow my advice, right? You should. Deberías seguir mis consejos. All right, so I'm giving you a recommendation or a suggestion. It could be that you should do something or that you shouldn't do something. There's no specific rules for negatives or affirmatives. It just depends on what you want to say. So I'll be leaving an exercise about modals in the description of the video for you to do so that you can practice. It's a multiple choice exercise. So you can just check your answers and check if you did it correctly. I'll see you in the following video. Bye.